Yeah, we're at this in this very strange situation, aren't we, where, you know, things could hardly be worse, at least in terms of the economy, and yet, unlike the Icelandic people or the Greeks or many other places around Europe, we seem to be rather passive as a population. And I can't help but wonder if one of the big reasons for that is the fact that we've got the election. So the election is like a pressure valve, isn't it? It's going to sort of take a lot of the heat out of the situation for the next week, couple of weeks. There's going to be a brief honeymoon, there's going to be a new government, we know that. And then is the issue. What happens after that? And if the new government don't embrace reform, this is the argument of myself and my colleagues, if they don't look hard at how we do governance in this country and how we can do it better, they will run the serious risk of a backlash against themselves, and then we're into all sorts of bad politics. The most important thing will be the programme for government. That's the first thing we need to see. So let's assume it's going to be a Fine Gael Labour coalition, which all the opinion polls seem to suggest. The first act of those two parties will be to sit down, compare their manifestos and come up with a programme for government. We will want to see in that programme for government serious reform proposals. If they're not in the programme for government, they're not going to happen. But the sort of reforms that some of the parties are talking about, which are really rather silly ones, are, you know, whether you should reduce the length of office of the president or whether you should just abolish the Seanad altogether. Populist moves perhaps, but really they're not going to, you know, amount to a row of beans in terms of what we really need to be doing. So we want serious reforms and joined up reforms. And our process has been looking at the parties in terms of 20 different dimensions. I won't go into the details, but the effective idea is we're saying if you make these 20 sets of reforms, or as many of these as possible, you have a chance of doing some serious revision of how we do governance in this country. There's various reasons why it's an historic election. I think the main one is going to be the very bad result for the Fianna Fáil party, the party that has been in power more than any other party in this country, probably been in power more than any other party in Europe, is about to be decimated in this election. So it's definitely an important historical moment.